usually there's one in the county seat most of the time. Used to be one pretty much in every county, but not necessarily now. They do cutbacks every so often. But anyway, I would recommend going in and talking to the ladies or the gentlemen in the office and tell them what your operation is. And probably the first thing they're going to do is they will want you to identify your land, show them where your land is and how many acres, what you do with it. And you'll need to do what we call an acreage report. That is the foundation of pretty much everything that we do that reports your grass. Do you graze it? Do you hay it? How many acres? What kind of grass? Most all of our programs require you to have an acreage report. So that's something that you'll need to keep up with and do yearly. You can have that set up on a continuous certification. That's like, if you don't change what you're doing with your grass, or you don't add or take away, that will roll over from year to year. But if you make a change, you buy more property or you get rid of property, you need to go in and update that because we don't have any way of knowing. One of the major programs that we have and we deal with, it's called LFP, the Livestock Feed Program, and it deals with drought. I know everybody has probably dealt with a lot of drought the last few years. It's either we've got too much rain or we don't have enough. So that's where your acreage report comes in, because when we do those LFP applications for you, it's going to read your acres, and that's how you're going to get paid your disaster payment, is on how many acres. I recommend everybody, if you lease land, make sure you have a lease, written lease that protects you. You don't have to wait until we're doing a program to get your lease. Get it and have it on file, because we cannot, if you lease land, we cannot make that payment unless we have a written lease.
So I'll take it a little bit further. So the reason it's important to have the acreage report is because the livestock forage program, what it's designed to do is to pay you on the extra cost to feed those animals due to the drought. That's the idea. So we had to buy more hay or more feed because the drought came in. And so every grass type has a carrying capacity the USDA has established. It's going to vary depending on your county and your location, but there is one. So in my county office, if we talk about Bermuda grass, it's 3.3 acres to the animal unit. 4 goats equals an animal unit. And then you talk about mixed forage, it's going to be 3.7 acres to the animal unit. 4 goats equals an animal unit on that as well. So that's why it's important we kind of say step 1 is the acreage report. So we pull the aerial imagery up, we look at how many acres you have, and that's why we kind of want to know what you're doing with it. It's not so much that we really need to know your business, it's just that if you're grazing it, it helps with that program. If you're haying it, we have a different program that'll help you with. And so that's kind of the importance of why we do the acreage reporting, why we help you with the acreage reporting and get you set up in the system. Also the important thing is that if you wanted to participate with NRCS, which Lisa told me will be here in a little bit to talk to you, we're kind of step 1. We're the record keepers for them as well. So they share our information as far as your map and your acreage reporting and anything they might need. They kind of come to us for that as well. So that's why it's important there. The livestock forage program, it's probably going to be our most popular program by far around here, and especially since it's triggered 2 out of 3 years. In order to trigger for the livestock forage program, we have to be in a D2 level drought for 8 weeks or go straight to a D3. Last year, October the 15th, we shot straight to a D3 and it triggered 2 out of my 3 counties, and away we went paying on LFP. And then it has different levels of payments that you can get. So if you're in a D2 for 8 weeks or straight to a D3, it'll pay you 3 months of payments. You're in a D3 for 4 weeks or straight to a D4, it'll pay you 4 months. And then if you've been at a D4 for 4 weeks, it pays you 5 months. And so USDA has established what it costs you to feed that animal a month, and then they pay you a percentage of that to help you continue to operate and feed that animal as a result of the drought. And so it's very simple on your end as far as you tell us how many goats you have. We've got the acreage report. That's pretty well all we need from you, and that's as simple as it gets.
The 8 weeks has to be 8 consecutive weeks. It can't be 2 weeks out of drought and 2 weeks. It has to be 8 consecutive weeks.
Yeah. So most of the time we usually just shoot straight to a D3 in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's just typically what we're going to see. Occasionally we do see the D2, but usually it's just straight to a D3.
And when they say on the weather that we're in a drought, that's totally different
Right.
than what they go by. So,
Yeah, you can go to the Mesonet. Well, I just type in Oklahoma Drought Monitor, so you could do that for any state, and it should pull that. It'll pull up a map, and it'll be color coded and showing you what stage of drought your state is in.
Yep, that'll be the National Drought Monitor, and that's what we go off of. The National Drought Monitor. It comes out of there are 8 people that it rotates through. Every 2 weeks it flips to another person. They're out of Washington, D.C. and different areas across the country. I do encourage you to get on there because you can also report what's happening in your local area. You can take pictures, you can upload pictures, you can tell them exactly what's happening, because sometimes, as we all know, 10 miles down the road they get rain, but we may not get it. And if we don't upload and tell them, then they see rain and then we go on with it. So that's kind of something you all can do to help kind of push that process along. That way they kind of have a better idea of what's happening locally there for you all. And then it just gives them a better idea. They can accurately reflect what's happened locally, because it does make a difference. In Oklahoma, they typically use the Mesonet. Well, in my counties, Cherokee County, I've got 2 Mesonet sites, and in my other 2 counties, I've only got 1. So I got 1 Mesonet site for a whole entire county. So it really helps if we can kind of take pictures and upload from different cities or places across the county to get the National Drought Monitor, them to understand what's happening locally.
Yeah, because just like here in Okmulgee County last year, part of the county was really dry, and over on where we live, we had plenty of grass. It was nice and green. So, kind of what he says, get on there and report what's going on in your area. That could help.
Right, because if it triggers, then it helps you with federal funding to feed your animals.
and all it takes is just a little bit of the county
Yes.
to trigger, and it'll
Yeah.
trigger the whole county.
It will.
Yes, one spot will trigger the whole county. Last year, Adair County triggered because a parking lot in the northeast corner got too dry, and it triggered the whole county. So, like I say, all it takes is a sliver. So it's important that they understand what's going on in our local cities. We need to make them understand, because that's who's deciding, and that's what we have to use. So we want to get them as much information as we possibly can.
We have Lip.
Yep, let me talk about that.
Sure.
So the livestock, yes ma'am.
On the drought, you said what we consider a drought isn't necessarily what y'all consider a drought.
Right.
Is y'all's level of drought worse than our level of drought?
It really, so when we say our level.
The standard is higher. When I walk out and I see nothing but dirt.
Right.
Because the grass is gone. That I'm in a drought. And once I have to put hay out, I consider us in a drought.
Yeah.
I ain't seen rain, since Jesus. But
It all depends on that National Drought Monitor. That's what we have to use. It's not really our standard. USDA doesn't have anybody that determines the drought. They go off the National Drought Monitor. So that's why I mentioned taking those pictures and uploading it onto the National Drought Monitor website, because that's what we use. That's congressional, and until that changes, that's what we have to use. So, so to give them a better idea that you've been kicking dirt for 10 weeks here, we're uploading, showing them that we've been kicking dirt for 10 weeks here, so they get a better idea up there, because like I say, they're across the country making these decisions locally based upon just information that they're getting, and then they need an accurate reflection of what you're doing. So it's a good question. Any other questions?
So that's pictures you said mainly?
You can take pictures, there's a place you can, type in remarks to tell them, what you're experiencing last time you got rain, everything. Just gives them a better snapshot of what's happening locally. It'll have you upload your address or at least the town close by, and we don't have to get exactly here pinpoint on your farm, but so that gives them just an idea of where it is you're talking about, and then they can then assess it. And then the more you do it each week, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That we're still dry here, this is continuing to get drier. It's kind of the things that it gets their attention more versus we do it once every month and a half. Well,
Right.
a lot changes.
And that, sorry, just,
Do crop farmers have any impact on that at all?
No.
I live in crop farming country and they irrigate and they,
no,
so everybody.
not for the livestock, they
No,
don't
they-
have.
I think I'm the only one in Jefferson County, Arkansas, that's got a live animal, so that's what I'm
Really?
saying. We're in a drought and everybody else is running the big machinery
So-
of water.
Right.
So, soybeans and rice are still growing,
Sure.
but my goats are starving to death.
It's all
Right.
irrigated, right?
Yeah.
No, crop farming won't have any impact on that one. That's just weather data. It's strictly what they look at is weather data.
And they update that every week, every Thursday, you'll be able to see the new monitor.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
Comes out every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. The
It's
National
called
Drought
the National Drought what?
Monitor.
Monitor.
Programs that were already implemented, they'll still pay them out, right?
As far as,
Drought, like assistance on stuff, like you put in a program in July, or you put in for a program in January, they said you had till July to get it done. They'll still pay that out by July, right, even though we got a bunch of
Depends
rain.
on where the money came from.
as far, so do you have
did you trigger drought?
are you waiting to get your appointment? Is that what you're doing?
No, they said I've been approved.
Okay, yeah. So
Well, we got rain, so we're probably not in. the
No,
drought.
once it
Once you
triggers
trigger, yeah.
for that year, it's,
Yeah, I wanna make sure I didn't
Right.
spend
right.
yes.
what I thought I was gonna
Yeah.
spend and then.
No,
Well,
they
What
can't,
county are you in?
they can't do
Or
it.
taking
Clay County? Which your office is what?
nuclear.
Because it's just a lot of people that they just haven't got to you yet.
No, they got to.
Okay.
They got me in. I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, so,
When to spend a bunch of money to put this
right.
waters and stuff in, I wanna make sure that when I turn the receipts in. those-
So are you talking about an NRCS program?
Yeah, maybe it is.
Okay, cause
Did you go through Equip?
It's probably
you said,
conservation.
you said putting in waterers, so that made me think
Is it-
that would be
Okay.
NRCS. No, we're not the same.
Anyways, funding's been appropriated for it, same answer.
Yeah,
Funding's
I mean-
been no, the rain won't change it.
But
Oh.
we should have some NRCS people here in a little while.
But, yeah, funding's been appropriated, so it won't affect that either. It might be the state cost share where they let you dig out the pond or put in the watering systems as well.
Well, it's like us, because we went through NRCS, which I worked for them, but I went through the Equip program to do the cross-free waters and
Yeah.
fencing and all that kind of stuff. On that deal, which they'll talk more about it a while ago, the only people that were affected on that deal if it was funded through the IRA program, because they cut the funding on that. So there was a lot of people that were getting ready to build fence and all that kind of stuff that was funded through IRA that got cut off. So the stuff you see on the news where they're talking about farmers.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah.
it's the fire.
But I don't think it was a fund, because ours wasn't funded through IRA, it was funded through another fund, so
I hope not.
you would have already known that if they
Okay.
cut it.
Yeah,
so-
they probably would have sent you a letter or something.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah, because they were contacting them people like the next day, letting them know,
Okay.
so,
And I think NRCS usually sends their stuff certified,
yeah.
so.
Any more questions, very quick? Okay, the next program we have is the Livestock Indemnity Program. It helps to reimburse you for livestock losses due to eligible disaster conditions such as flooding, tornadoes, lightning. We also do black buzzards. I don't know if you guys have trouble with black-headed vultures yet. That falls under it. Eagles, If it's a federally introduced animal, wolves, some people way up north have wolf trouble, falls under it. And so,
Winter storms.
yep, winter storms, it gets too cold, those all fall under livestock indemnity program. And it has a set rate that they reimburse you for the loss of that animal. USDA sets that price at the beginning of every year. And so it also has what we call normal mortality. So USDA says you're going to lose a certain percentage every year, whether she dies giving birth or she just gets sick and dies or whatever the case may be. So on your adults, it's going to be 5% of your herd total. So the first 5%, we get above that. That's what it pays on. Kids is going to be 10%. So after the first 10%, then it starts paying on. So the important thing there's two important things to know about this program. One is that it's always open. There's no sign up. There's no sign up period like drought or other programs. It's always open. When you have the loss, that's when you call the office and let them know that you've had the loss. The second thing is this: even though it may not be to disaster, you still want to take a picture and turn that loss in, because that's the normal mortality we want to take up, right? That's that 5%. So she gets sick and dies, or whatever happens, it breaks its leg and you have to put it down, whatever. That's normal mortality. That's that 5%. So we want to take that up with these losses that we're having. And that way, if something happens like lightning or a black vulture or something attacks that animal, then we're paying you on everything we can possibly pay you on for that animal, right? And so that's what that program is designed now. It's about a 75% probably of what you can get out of that animal is what that cost share is.
Like not registered prices,
That's
not
the market.
not registered prices,
Right.
The market
but
rate.
the
Yeah.
fair market rate,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the alternative is you get a stick in the eye, right? So
Yeah,
at least you
right.
get something. It does help, and at least there's a value attributed to losing that animal, which is the alternative is nothing. So it's always open. So I encourage you all. The process is we come outside. There's a black buzzard killing one of our kids or two of our kids. If you can take pictures with the buzzard in the is even better. But at least take pictures of your dead animal. And then if you call the county office, they have what's called an APHIS, APHIS. It's Animal Plant Health Inspection Service. They work for USDA. There's a local APHIS guy in about every county. Normally he'll come out and just verify that we've lost. They lost 2 kids. These are the signs, or yes, I've seen the black buzzard pecking at it, or whatever the circumstance is. Turn that report in, and then we can get you paid. If it's if it's lightning strike, and which I have cattle, so I'm not 100% sure what a lightning strike on a goat looks like, but on
You
cows,
can tell.
I know the signs. So if it's pretty obvious that it's a lightning strike, like we've got burn marks, we don't have any hooves, you can kind of tell. I don't really need a vet statement. The people I tell to get a vet statement is if you're going to tell me it's lightning strike and I look at that picture and there's nothing around that looks like lightning strike, and I get online and pull up the lightning strike map and there wasn't rain that day, we better get a vet to concur with that one, or county committee's probably not going to approve that. Outside of that, now if we're in drought, it does also cover larkspur poisoning, anthrax, and blue-green algae. If you have trouble with those, has to be in drought status. That goes back to that drought monitor we just talked about. So if we're in drought, those are coverable on the livestock indemnity program.
Yeah, so you'll want to take pictures, whether it's a normal mortality or if it's a disaster death. Make sure you get your pictures, because COC requires those.
And if you take a picture of the dead black-headed buzzard, make sure you have a permit.
Yeah, let's don't turn that one in.
That's smart.
Yeah, no, we don't want to talk about that. No.
Is
There's-
that yearly where they do the 5 and 10% each?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep,
you
it
can't
starts-
just say 5 years ago I
No,
got this.
no, it has to be within the year.
It starts January 1, runs through December
Okay.
31st, whatever happened in that program year. Yes, ma'am.
And you still just fill out things the way you would if there were like the same loss as if it were, like we were talking about all the
Right.
So.
Yeah, that would be a normal mortality.
So you-
And that's
yeah,
at
yeah,
5%, but
yeah.
you would still just fill out this,
Well, you-
paperwork the same way?
Good question. So on normal mortality, you take the picture, you email it to us or drop it by the office, however you want to get it to us. And then we put it in your file for the year. So when you have a coverable loss, then we'll do the notice of loss and on there ask, has the producer had normal mortality? That's when we've got the pictures to show county committee or national office if they ask us. That's really what we want to make sure that if the national office or the county committee or the state committee want to say, now show me that they had 4 head of normal mortality this year, or show me that, because it does happen, we do have to kind of, and so that's our support. So, so just get us the picture and the county office will take it from there. If it's,
So what you're saying though is that you'd still get reimbursed for that dead animal, even if you don't have a loss, like what y'all were talking about, of like getting eaten by something or attacked by something.
if she broke her neck,
Yeah.
no, that's normal mortality, so that's the 5%. This is disaster, yes.
But that just goes in your file.
Right.
So if
But-
you have
Right.
then.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is very important to report those though, and that way,
Right.
because what happens if you don't report your normal mortality throughout the year, say we have a bad winter storm and you have 10 that died, okay, they're gonna minus that normal mortality off of those 10 that died from the natural disaster. So you have to have some type of normal mortality, whether it comes from losses you've had throughout the year or they deduct it from your disaster
I
loss.
see, okay,
Right.
so that 5% will get, okay, that makes
Right.
sense.
So
And
that's,
on kids, it's 10%.
I asked because I was told about this program,
Uh-huh.
and I was told that I could submit just the pictures of that, but they didn't go in and explain it the way you guys
Yes.
explained
Okay.
it, so when I went in to read about it,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I can't submit that because, for reimbursement, because she died.
Yeah, but no, it would count towards your normal mortality, so that's
Which
very
is good.
important to go ahead and turn
right,
those in.
that's,
And we do have a table set up out here at the sale barn with some literature, if you guys want to come pick up, some fact sheets or something on some of these programs we're talking about.
but yes.
So,
Yeah, that's a very good question. So, yeah, it wouldn't cover that for us payment wise, but for that 5% we want to take up, that's why we do that. That's what that's for. Anything else about LIP? Any other questions about it? Okay. Next one's going to be the Emergency Livestock Assistance Program. The main one we use it for, it has a lot of ins and outs to that program, but the main one we're going to use it for, if we're in drought status, it helps reimburse you for hay or feed transportation over 25 miles up to 1,000 miles to get it transported back home. And it pays you on a loaded mile rate, right? So in 2022, I had a lot of ranchers that had to go out of state. They had or different places to locate that hay and get it hauled back here. You turn in your receipts to show where it came from and where you had it delivered to, and that's also the receipt is the proof that you purchased the hay, and then we can process that application accordingly and get you reimbursement on those loaded miles. So it works together with the drought program, the livestock forage program we talked about first, is that this one helps you buy it and this one helps you get it home, and that way we can keep farming with the least amount of burden financially as we can help you all with. So that's kind of how they work together.
Because it pays pretty good on the mileage, so.
Yes, yes, it depending on if you're what they call socially disadvantaged, means you're a female farmer, you're a minority farmer, you're a new and beginning farmer, you're a veteran farmer, or limited resource farmer. It pays you 90% of the national average. If you're not, then it's what, 75? I believe 75% of the national average. I think right now the national average is 660.
Well, because that's what SDA was getting, was like $6.60 a mile.
So it pays quite a bit.
Yeah.
Every year those numbers are going to vary depending on what USDA sets that year for the mileage reimbursement rates. But it's a good program. It's going to be with that program, and so it's going to look at when we triggered drought through the rest of the year. So I'll give you an example. This year I triggered October 15th. So anybody that had to buy hay and have it hauled home between October 15th and December 31st that turned in their receipts, then we could reimburse them based upon their cattle inventory on hand. So meaning that you have 5 goats and you bought 3 semi-loads of hay, I'll pay you for what the 5 goats should have needed, not the 3 semi-loads of hay that, and so that's kind of the you know, what the animals you have to support, you know, and trust me, it happens. So it does look at that now. That's kind of something new they added this year. And that program has switched to what we call a 365-day grazing period. And so it doesn't necessarily, anyways,
If it triggers, it's good all year.
for the rest of the entire year. So if it triggered in March, it would run through the end of the year on it. It doesn't have grazing periods, so where other programs have what we call grazing periods. There's a warm and a cool season. And if you want to know more about that, holler at me afterwards. We'll be here a while talking about that
Did you
one.
have a question?
Yes.
Does it matter the type of hay?
No.
No.
It doesn't, okay.
No,
So
it's
I
your
have-
operation. Yeah. We
Okay.
don't- It's your operation. We don't get involved in, if you want to feed it to your animal, that's fine. I mean, that's,
Because
we're
like
not running.
orchard grass doesn't grow down.
Right.
Sure.
So I would have to go up, but that's.
Well, you would have to be,
that's the
you would have to be buying it because
I couldn't get it done.
you couldn't,
Or we didn't have.
well,
Because that's what I was curious.
I think that's two different things. Just because you want that kind,
That was my question.
yeah, just because you want that kind, you know, it has to be that we're in a drought and there is not any hay to buy.
Got it, okay.
So,
Sorry, I just wanted to
Talk to your county office.
clarify. Yeah.
That's very, it,
Right
yeah,
area?
because how, I mean, it can get, because how do you prove that, you know, that's not available?
Yeah.
I mean, it,
You're
so, right, so if we're in a drought, we trigger it, you bought the hay, you turn it in because you needed it, you know, I would
Just-
visit
just
with your
see what
county
they want you to
office.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where are you out of? What,
We're in Rockwall, Texas.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
so we're not in a drought.
Okay.
Definitely not.
yeah, well, and we have to have drought to have a
Yeah,
program.
but I just
But,
prefer to feed the herd
Oh,
a
yeah.
certain type of hay.
Right.
I understand,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
have-
you can't grow orchard grass down here in Texas.
I got
Can't
you.
grow it in Texas,
Yeah.
so.
I got you, yeah, yeah. I would say visit with that county office and see what their procedure is for handling that. My county office, my COC, we would sit down and look at. Generally, it's gonna be hard to deny that at my county level, but you visit with your office and see, yeah.
Which I haven't had any issues.
Sure,
But
yeah.
I was just.
Yeah, it's ultimately gonna be up to the county committee. That's who decides that, is the county committee. I take all mine to county committee, I'll put it that way, so. Any other questions about ELAP? There's some handouts out there about ELAP. Like I say, it's got about 12 different routes for that program. It does a lot of different things. That's just generally what we use it for, is going to be the feed transportation reimbursement. There's also water hauling transportation reimbursement with that program. If you had to haul water because your water source went dry, there's some reimbursements on that for that particular program. I would, again, visit with your county offices, see what their procedures are, exactly what they want. It isn't, all of our programs are nationwide, but there's a little bit different avenues that each county office handles it just a little bit differently possibly, so visit with them.
because it pays by the gallon, right? Is that what?
It's a combination of gallon and then mileage. It's a combination for it. It is a combination. And then NAP. NAP is the non-insurable crop assistance program. You all as producers of a grazing animal, if you are socially disadvantaged, what I just mentioned, you can get NAP insurance on your grass for free every year. And so it is its own, it deals with drought. And so what NAP does is if we trigger, you get the base policy of 50/55, means if we've had a 50% or more loss in grass production that year, it pays you 55% of the national average per acre cost value that USDA has set on that type of grass. And so, depending on, it has 2 grazing seasons, a cool season and a warm season. And depending on, we pull independent sources, we pull the Mesonet data for rainfall, we put it into the worksheet, and that's how it determines what our grass production loss was that year. So just because we trigger droughts for LFP and ELAP does not mean NAP is going to trigger. This year it did not trigger in my counties, but I still had droughts for the other 2 programs because it looks at full season rainfall, not just this period of time, right? To where the other ones just look at very specific periods of time. So that's kind of the difference on it. It's free, wouldn't cost you anything if you're socially disadvantaged. And so everybody in my office that falls into the category, we get them signed up, because if it triggers, great, and if it doesn't cost anything. It really don't take any time. All you're doing is sign it once, and we roll it every year for you. If it triggers, I'll call you and tell you come up here and sign your application for payment. We'll get you some money on the deal. It's a very simple program, but if it triggers, it's just more money to help you guys. What else? County committee elections.
Yeah.
That's probably the last thing I'm gonna touch on.
Yeah.
County committee election happens every year. Nomination periods open in June. Elections happen, usually ballots go out in what, October, November?
Yeah,
And then the election is over at the end of December. We count the ballots December 10th, somewhere around there. County committee is the people that sit down and decide your applications. If it's to something that I can't, it's not an open shut case that I can't decide on, the county committee is ultimately, they're in charge of it. That's who I answer to, as well as the county executive director. It's a very, very important role. And so if your district is up for election this year, it's important that we vote on that, because you're deciding the person that's going to help decide maybe your application at some point, or if you have an appeal process that you want to kind of explain your stance on something. That's what county committee handles these things. Those are kind of your voices and representatives as well. So, it's the only elected position in USDA is your county committee or local county committee. So it's important, if it's up for election this year, or you want to run for the county committee, as long as you're a producer in that district that's up for election, you can run for county committee. I encourage you to do it. It's a 3-year term. You can serve 3 terms in a row before you finally term out. You got to sit out for 1 term, and then you can run again if you really wanted to.
Just go by the office and sign a nomination form during the nomination period.
They pay you for your time. They pay you for your travel. And it's a good way to kind of help interact and understand what we do at the county level and what it takes to get your applications from A to B, and then the kind of the thought process that goes into approving these applications. And because at the end of the day, it's taxpayer dollars that we're in charge of, and we've got to answer for how we spend those dollars. So we just, it'll help you understand why we ask or do certain things. But it is very important that you vote in those, because those are who are going to represent you all if that decision has to be made by them. So I want to encourage you guys to vote in that.
That's a national thing too.
Yep.
Yes, when you go into the office and they get you in the system, and you will get a ballot when your area, your LA comes
Oh,
up.
I see.
They sent it to you in the
I've already
mail.
hooked up with them for some reason or another, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's the producers that are participating in FSA programs. Otherwise, they don't. If somebody's not participating, there's no need for them to vote. That goes against the
Gotcha.
handbook, right?
Okay.
So, if you're not set up at the FSA, I encourage you to do so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of programs out there that will help you. The NRCS has a lot of programs that can help you, and a lot of times it's things that you're doing that you can get reimbursement and help to
Yeah.
continue to do,
You have no
and
idea.
you're not
Yeah.
coming out of pocket for these
Yeah.
costs.
And we don't know what's coming down the pipe, we may have new programs, that
Right.
you would be interested in. So I recommend, if you haven't already gone by your FSA office, go by, visit with them,
Yep.
get in the system, and get eligible so you can participate.
And to be eligible, you have to start with the acreage.
Is the Farm Service Agency part of the USDA?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I know we've got a USDA office in our county,
Okay.
but I've never heard it called Farm Service.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, USDA has a lot of things under their umbrella.
There's 27 sub-agencies under the USDA umbrella, but when we start talking about county offices, generally it's FSA, NRCS. They're both usually in the same office. Some offices are lucky enough to have a farm loans, which is what Connor's going to talk about in a second. That if you need a loan, some offices have that too. But generally, yes, if you have a USDA office in your local town, or generally that's where they're located. It's going to be FSA, it's going to be NRCS or farm loans as well. So visit with them. What was your question, ma'am?
What was my, oh,
Something about
to actually get in and you have to start with the acreage report?
Yeah, just go
Or
in
not
and
just
say,
go in
hey,
and say, I wanna do this?
Yeah,
wanna
just
sign
go
up.
in and say, I'm a new producer, I wanna get in the system, and they'll give you, we call it a 2047, it's your basic information, name, address, social security, we have to have your tax ID number, because that's how they track who gets paid, so we got it.
Everything is taxable.
Yeah,
You do
everything is
1099.
taxable. So, email address and all that, so they'll get you put in the system. It just depends on what office you go to. Some of them will might have an old school plat book. Some of them may have the ability to pull it up and look on the computer. We have Midas. They can always look it up on Midas too. That's some of our software. But you'll basically show them where your land is, and if it's not already drawn out as a farm, they'll draw it out and get you attached to that. And you'll tell them what kind of grass you have, if you hay it, you graze it, what you do with it, and they'll do your acreage report.
Okay.
Connor?
Do I need to bring anything differently if I operate under an LLC versus just coming in as myself?
Yes, you do, bring
Yeah.
everything.
Bring it on?
If you know the answer, why are you asking, Connor?
Good question though. Yeah.
I was trying to sign, but
if you
LLC,
operate,
yeah.
if you sell your animals, operate your farm
Yeah.
under a LLC
Yeah.
or trust or anything like that, bring your documents.
Okay.
Because we will have to have a copy of those
Thank
for our
you.
file.
Yep.
Good job, Connor.
That tells
Good
us
job.
who has signature authority for the LLC
Yeah.
to sign. That's,
Okay.
and that, there again, if the national office wants it, not so much that I need to verify, but we have just certain steps, and the national office says, we need to know who can sign for this, that those in, so that's kind of why we want the LLC paperwork, just to cross that T, dot that I. If you want to bring your deeds, you can. If they have, I have local different websites that assessors use. I can generally find ownership. If I can't find it there, then usually a deed, we'll have to, or a plat book of the deed, a copy of it or something, just to show that you are the one that has ownership or the authority over that particular
And
land.
that kind of goes back to when we were talking about the leases and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, if you have leases, bring them. If you don't have leases, get them.
Yeah. Something signed, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy, just
Yeah.
gives you, you're leasing that specific piece of property. You wanna put how many acres, and I say, if you think there's 80, then put 85, because
Yeah.
I can do less than, but I can't put more acres than what that lease says. So if you're leasing 10 acres and my software says you actually had 12, I gotta drop it back down to 10, so definitely put enough on there to cover what you got.
What time is it? Is it your turn?
It's 1:53.
Oh, we went over.
Way over. Any more questions before we get off this stage? All right, if you have any more questions, we'll be around. Grab hold of one of us, or
Oh,
Lisa's
Jesse.
here. Oh, back in the corner.
I do have a mouthful of cookies.
You're good, we'll wait on you. Take your time.
This may be for y'all and maybe for these guys, I don't know. Our biggest issue whenever we went to talk to, the FSA and all of them, the bulk of our stuff is covered in trees. The land itself is not fit for any, you can't log it, you can't do anything with the trees except let them grow. Can't run any livestock on it except goats.
Yeah.
But people get butthurt whenever I want to cut the trees down. They're like, oh, no, if you're fixing to clear yeah.
Probably his issue, not so much mine.
Yeah.
So you
No,
want
it-
somebody to help you with the.
Clearing.
with the
I
clear-
don't mind cutting them trees down.
Yeah, I got you.
I'll lay them down, it's nothing but oak trees, but they won't let us be part of any program because they know going into it that 40 of them acres are covered in oak trees, and then I'm like to lay all 40 acres of them down to make room for goats and grass. And as soon as they find out all the trees, they're like, nope, we got to conserve.
Interesting.
And I'm like, no, I'll put some of that. Jefferson County, Arkansas, I have to compete with road crop farmers, and that's it.
That,
Yeah,
county office, in my county, we call that native, it's gonna depend on how many trees, whether it's a native 02, a native 62, a native 72, a native 92, right? Every piece of land has a carrying capacity, so if you got goats on 10 acres, that's 75% trees, your carrying capacity is gonna be higher than if it's clear cutted, just pure grazing land, but it still has a carrying capacity. We just reported a different way in my office. Not sure about Jefferson City, Arkansas, but that's how I do it in my office. It may be trees, but it does have a value, and there is a carrying capacity. It's just a little higher than some of your other carrying capacities. Because, truth be known, I have some pretty woolly areas in my counties for sure, and we still, they still participate. That's all they've got. But they can still participate, like I say, just a higher carrying capacity on that land than versus something that's just cleared off, straight mixed forage or something like those lines. And then we'll see what he has to say, but I know there are some programs, different avenues they could go to maybe assist you for helping you do that, but there again, just depends on your county office, how they approach different things, but yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, that's what I'd like to hear.
You're welcome.
thank you.